Hi all. In this session, we are going to see what are the variables, why do we need to use variables, and how to declare the variables and how to initialize the values to the variables. And also we'll see what is a final keyword. If I use the final keyword in the variable level, what will happen? So these topics we'll try to understand in this session. So let's try to understand what is a variable first. Suppose, let's take one example. I want to write one program for to store the student values. Let's take this is a program. So I want to store some values. Let's say student number. Student number, let's say one, and student's name. Let's assume student name is Ravi, and student height 5.5. So during your program, how we can save these values? As we are aware of that, by using data type and variables, we can assign, right? So which data type I can take it here? This is an integer type of data. There is a string type of data. There is a float type of data, right? So based on our need, we will choose data type. So this is an integer data type. Let's take this is an integer data type and some value. So let's take this is a variable. Let's take to store the another value. Student name. This is a string, right? I will take string data type. String name equals to Ravi. And similarly, this is a float data type, right? I'll take float as a data type. And height is a one variable 5.5. So all these are the data types, right? All these are the variables we are saying. We'll try to understand what is a variable in this session. So already we have discussed this data type last session. What's the purpose of this data type? The purpose of data type is it will allocate sufficient amount of memory space in the main memory of the computer. Let's say if you take integer data type, right? It will give you some memory like integer is a 4 bytes memory. It will allocate in the main memory of the program. So similarly, if you take float, 4 bytes it will occupy in the main memory, right? So if you say this is a number, right? This is a variable we are calling. This is a height. Let's consider this is a height. So what are these actually? Why do we need to use this? As we know that data type will allocate sufficient amount of the memory space for your inputs in the main memory of the computer. Now, in order to retrieve these values, we need some distinct value, or we can say unique value, unique name or distinct name. These names we are calling as a identifiers. So these names we are calling as a identifiers. And this value, a value of these identifiers are changing one point to another point, right? Let's say, let me take one example, int a equal to 10. If I do some operation, compute suppose a equal to a plus 1. So a equal to 10 means current value of a is how much? 10. And a plus 1, 10 plus 1. Now the current value is 11. So 11 it will replace, right? So the identifier value is changing during your execution of the program. It is varying from one point to another point. So that is a reason that we are calling as a variable. So what is a variable? Variable is nothing but an identifier whose value changing during the execution of the program. This is a variable. We understand what is a variable. And now we'll try to see how to declare the variable and how to initialize the variable. Okay, variable declaration. So how to declare the variable? What is the syntax of this? So syntax is data type and variable 1, variable 2, variable 3 like that. So on variable n. So n number of variables you can define. So for example, I want to store integer type of data. So I will take integer data type and I will say variable, your wish. I mean, it should be unique value. Suppose you can't write again, take A, it will not allow. So unique values you can take A, B, C, D, n number of things. Any variable name you can, this is a variable name. We are calling as variable name. So n number of variables we can create it. By this way, we can declare these variables. How to initialize the variable? So first we'll see the declaration of this. How to declare, we'll try to see in the Java program. So let me take one simple program. So I'm just writing, I want to store some value. Suppose int a equal to 10. See, okay, this is the initialization. Just I want to declare first. Declare how we can declare. As I said, data type and variable name, right? Integer is a data type and variable name is a. If you want multiple, you can choose it. So comma b, comma c. Like this multiple also, we can declare the variables. And how to initialize the values to these variables. Let's see how to initialize the value. Already we have declared some variables, right? A is a one variable here. C is a one variable. D is a one variable. E is a one variable. So how to declare, I mean, how to initialize the values to this variable? Let's see. How to initialize by using this operator. So 10, B equal to 20, C equal to 30. Like this. We can initialize the values. Let's go and quickly initialize here. Whatever I have taken, let's take three variables A, B, C I have declared, right? I am just trying to initialize the values to the variables. Suppose B equals to 20, C equals to 30. So let's try to print it. Let me print that whatever we have initialized it. Let me print A. A is the, what's the A value here? A is a 10 value to show, right? This is a 10. What's the B value? So I'm just trying to print C. What's the C value? 30 should print, right? Let me run it this small program. So C is 30. So like this, we can initialize the values to that variable. Or else, if you want direct declaration and initialization at a time, that also we can do. Like, suppose I'm taking int e is one variable. Directly, I can assign some value. So declaration and initialization at a time also we can do. This way also, based on your program need, we can either declare first. During the program, you can assign the values to that variable, or if you already, I mean, if you know the value of that variable, if you want to store the value, directly you can declare and immediately you can initialize that value to that variable. So this is about the declaration and initialization. What will happen when you initialize the value here? Let's try to understand here. So whenever there are some internal operations will happen. So I'm saying first how to declare the variable int a, right? Int a equal to 10. Like this, I'm initializing the values to the variable. What happens internally? Internally, there are few steps, internal steps will happen. So what are those? We'll try to understand. So whenever you can initialize that, first what will happen is it will create one memory in the main memory of the computer based on your data type. So this is a integer data type, right? Integer data type, we know that this takes 4 bytes of memory, right? It will create this memory. 4 bytes it will occupy in the main memory. And after that, first it will create 4 bytes memory allocate, and after that it will the variable name it will hold. Okay, it will declare like it will call this variable, and after that what will happen? So int 4 bytes we have, and it will allocate some internal address. Every variable have some internal address, and the fourth step is already it will assign some internal address. After that, by default value, it should store. What is the default value of integer? 0. Okay, let's already we have discussed this part. We have four category of data types, right? So one is integer data type. Integer data types, what we have? Byte, short, int, long. And float category data type, what we have? Float and double. and like that character and also boolean we have, right? What's the default values of byte? 1, 2, 4, 8. So byte is a 1, short is a 2 bytes. By default, it will allocate the memory. Int is a 4 bytes, long is 8 bytes, float is 4 bytes, double is 8 bytes, 2 bytes, and 0 bytes, right? These are the default bytes. Suppose I'm taking here integer. So that is the reason 4 bytes of memory it is allocating in the main memory. If I use float some other data type I have taken. Let's assume float. Float, what's the default memory space? It occupies in the memory 4 bytes. So 4 bytes it will allocate in the main memory of the computer. Suppose if you take, let's say, byte, I will take one byte data type. How much memory it will occupy in by default? 1 byte it will allocate in the main memory like this. And what about this default value? We know that integer default value is 0. For float 0, 0.0. For character nothing. For boolean false. So whenever before initializing your value, first it will fill up with the default value. Suppose this is a integer category data type. The default value of the integer data type is 0. First, it will assign this 0. After that, when you initialize the value, this 10 will replace with the default value. So 0 will be replaced with 10 like this. These four steps internally happens when you initialize the value. So this is about the variable declaration and variable initialization. After that, we'll see some important rules. Important rules for to create the variable. Okay. We have few rules. Out of all the rules, the major rules I have picked it here. So first rule is the variable first letter. It should be alphabet. It should not be the number. What is alphabet? We know, right? Suppose, let me take one example here. So my variable name is A, B, C. Let me take, this is my variable name. Okay. So A, B, C. Okay, let me take, if I consider this, int A, B, C equal to 10. It is acceptable because this is a alphabet. Suppose if I write like this, 1, A, B, C. Okay, it is not acceptable. First, why? Because it is starting with letter, I mean the digit, right? A numeric number. So it is not acceptable. If I write like this, any special character ABC, this is also not acceptable because it should not start with any special character or number. Only it should start with alphabet. So let's try to quickly implement this. Try to observe this. What happens if I initialize this? Suppose what I say is integer. Let me take some more. Suppose one ABC is a one variable name. So if you declare like this, it is accepting, right? If I try to declare one ABC here, see, it won't accept because it should not start with any numeric. And also, I try to give any special character here. See, special characters also it's not allowed. So that is the reason. Always variable name starts with alphabet, not numeric. Alphabet, once after alphabet you can give numbers, it will accept. See, A is a alphabet. After that I gave number, it is accepting. After that I gave special character. So that is fine. I mean, after that you can give that, but before that first letter it should be common, like I mean it should be alphabet only. So this rule you can remember. And another rule we can discuss. The another rule is, suppose, let me write the second rule. So in between, whatever, if you write this value, suppose let me take total salary. This is my variable name. So total salary in between these variables, right? Letters or characters, we can say the underscore is acceptable. This is acceptable. If I write same thing, suppose special character I give, it is not acceptable. If I give some space here, I mean without, I'm not giving anything space, like it is not acceptable. So in between characters of the variable name, it will allow only underscore. So let's try to quickly check this. So as I said, just quickly, we'll take any example for this total sal. So this is accepted, right? This is accepted. Suppose if I give space, it is throwing error. It is not accepting. If I give any special character, it is not accepting. Okay, it should not accept the any special characters or spaces in between. This is a one rule. We can remember this. And another one is we should not use the keywords as a variable name. Keywords we should not use. What is a keywords? When they develop the programming language, they use some keywords, right? Along with the programming language, they will provide those keywords. Suppose in any programming language, or else we'll take Java only, while, for, and also we can say final. All these are the keywords, right? Class, all these are the keywords. So these keywords we should not use as a variable. It won't accept these keywords as a variable name. So let me try to give any keyword. Suppose let me give one. For is a one keyword, right? If I give for, so it is not acceptable because this is an invalid variable declaration. And also if you use while, see, it will throw error. If you use final, so this will throw. So all the keywords we should not use as a variable name. We can give anything, it will accept except that keywords. Keywords we should not use it. That is a rule. And also while creating or while declaring the variable, right, variable name, it will accept a number of things, but you should, it should be used limited characters. Suppose 5 to 15 or 13. So limited character names we can, variable names we can prefer for developing any, I mean, while developing any program. So this is about the rules of variable. Now last one we can discuss about constants. Now, what is a constant? Let's. What's a constant? Constant is nothing but it won't change that, right? It will be constant value. Suppose you can take any program. Suppose if I want to write any common program, let me take what are the common values we have. If you write any find the area program, let's consider example find the area. So if you want to write the find the area, pi value is common, right? The value is 3.1417 f. This value is same. It should not change during your program, right? That is the reason this value you can assign it, and this is a constant. So we can say that this is a constant value. It won't change in the during the execution of the program. In that case, in C, we used to have one const, const. In C program, we have one constant. This is a keyword. By using this keyword, we can make this is a final value. In the Java, we have final. Final is a one keyword. In Java, this is a C actually, C program. This is a Java program. In Java program, we have a final. This is a one keyword. So if you use this final keyword in the, before this variable, the declaration or initialization. So in the variable level, if you use the final keyword, you can't change this value during the execution of the program. Let's see a simple example. Suppose let me take another simple example. I am taking int a equal to 10. If I change this value, what will happen? It will change, right? Initially, a value is 10. Now 10 plus 1, 11. Now, right now, the value is 11. Let's try to check this. How int. Okay, suppose variable name I am just taking. Variable well, I am just taking 10. What's the current variable value? If I print where is my variable name? So just print that 10, right? So if I try to change the value, suppose variable equal to uh, variable equal to var plus already variable content 10 plus I'm saying 1. Current value, how much it will, it should 11. 10 plus 1. The current value is 11. So it is changing, right? It is changing. If this is a, this value, it should, I should, it should not be changed. So it is a fixed value or constant value. Then what you can do is you can just make this variable as a final. If you make this as a final variable, you can't change this value. Let's see how. Let me go to here it. Just I'm making this is a final. I'm just using final keyword. If I use final keyword, okay, first let us understand before changing the value. See, now print it. What is a variable value? 10, correct. Now, if I try to change this value, let's say variable equal to variable plus 10, it won't accept because this is a final. You can't modify this value or you can't change this value. So this is a use of final keyword. If you don't want to modify the value of that variable, you can make that variable as a final so that during the execution of your program, this value won't be changed. Okay, this is about the constant or final, we can say. Final keyword, if you use in the variable level, you can't change that variable value during the execution of the program. In the same way, final keyword we can use in another two areas. One is we can use in method level. Let me take this is a variable level, right? Variable level, if you use the final keyword, you can't change this value. Okay, values can't be modified during the execution of your program. If you use this final keyword in the method level, that method you can't override. If you use this final keyword in the class level, you can't inherit. You can't inherit this one. What is this inheritance and methods class? Leave it about for time being. Later we'll cover all these topics. So final keyword, let's consider this is a final keyword whenever you can use in the variable level. You can't modify that value in your program. So this is about the variables. Let's quickly recap what we have discussed till now. So what is a variable? Variable is nothing but an identifier whose values changing the varying from the one point to another point. Or we can say identifier, it's a variable is an identifier whose values are changing during the execution of the program. And how to declare the variable and how to initialize the values, we have observed that. And after that, we have discussed about when you initialize the values, what will happen internally in the memory area. And after that, we have discussed about some rules. The variable name first letter should be starts with alphabet, and this it will accept only underscore in between the characters of the variable name. Don't allow remaining things. And also, you should not use keywords as a variable name. These are the rules we have discussed. After that, constant, that is nothing but a final keyword. What is the use of final keyword? We have discussed. If you make the variable as a final, you can't modify the value of that variable. So that we have discussed. So remaining these things we'll discuss in the further sessions. So this is about the variable. Thank you all.